Hello everybody, my name is Megan and this is my 2021 favourites video. Is it April? Yes. Do I care? Absolutely not. I wasn't making videos before April and I read some of my favourite books of all time in 2021 and I want you to know it. So I haven't counted how many favourites I've got. I just went across my shelves and looked at my Goodreads and just went by vibes. So we're going to dive in with some honourable mentions. Chain of Iron, something nice. After that ending, I trust Cassie to pull it back with Chain of Thorns in November, but she could disappoint me. So this is entry number 3 million in the Shadowhunter Chronicles. It is set in turn of the century London. We're following the children of characters from a previous series. If you haven't read any of the Shadowhunter books, I don't recommend this series to you. I would recommend you start at the beginning and go through. But basically it's a world in which demons exist and Shadowhunters were blessed by the angel way back when to guard the lines between the downworld and the demon realms and mortals. And this book is the second in the Last Hours series, and like I said, it is on very, very thin ice. Circe is an excellent Greek mythology retelling. I'm not going to hold it up because I feel like it's going to really mess with my lighting because it's beautiful and foiled and stunning. Not quite a favourite. It didn't hit the same as A Song of Achilles did when I first read it, but it's beautifully written, an absolutely stunning book inside and out. Yeah, love Madeline Miller. And my final honourable mentions are The Bridge Kingdom and The Traitor Queen by Daniel Clayton, which is a deliciously tropey, angsty, enemies to lovers fantasy romance by Daniel Clayton. It was chef's kiss. I had such a good time. Highly recommend if you're in the mood for that. So now into my favourites. These are in no particular order. I just grabbed them from my shelves. So number 1, oh perfect, starting with a winner. We have Gideon the Ninth and Harrow the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. This is book 1 and 2 in the Locked Tomb series. Book 3, Nona the Ninth, is coming out later this year and I am incredibly hyped. So book 1, Gideon, is about Gideon and Harrow from the Ninth House who are taken to... Do we have a name for the planet? I feel like we do and I can't remember it. Anyway, they're summoned by the Emperor to become so that Harrow, the revered daughter of the Ninth House, can become a necromancer, and Gideon is taken as her sword basically. And then they get there and it becomes like an isolated murder mystery with necromancy and weird character dynamics, and it's just written, some of it is written like beautifully and poetically, and then some of it is just a meme reference, and it's stunning. It's so good. I was obsessed. I didn't know what was going on, and then you dive into Harrow, which is just sort of gaslighting you basically about the events of Gideon, which you already didn't know what was going on. And they were so good, and Moira Quirk's narration is excellent, and I could talk about this for a really long time, but I'm not going to. I just think that everyone should give these books a go. They're not going to be for everybody, but if you try it and you don't like it, fair enough, but everyone should try it. It's so good. Okay, up next we have another 2 that I'm going to talk about together. We have The Once and Future Witches by Alexi Harrow and The 10,000 Doors of January by Alexi Harrow. Now these aren't connected in any way. I just really love Alexi Harrow. So first up we have Once and Future Witches, which is set in turn of the century alt history America, and it's about 3 sisters who meet again after not seeing each other for a long time and join a suffragist movement and rediscover their magic and their love of each other and team up to defeat a bad guy. And it's so beautifully written, it's so engaging, it's so well written. Yeah, highly recommend. I loved it so much. And then we have The 10,000 Doors of January, which is again a beautifully written novel about January, who is given a book and she has to figure out what is going on in this book and where all these doors she's finding are leading to, and if they're leading her to someone. And yeah, there are beautiful relationships in this, a really sweet romance or 2, and I love portal fantasies. I love epistolary formats, so we have the book in this, we have little snippets of stories in this, and they're just stunning, beautiful books, and I cannot wait for more from Yanagihara. I think she's writing like a haunted house story at the moment, and I am desperate for it. Next, we have another two that I'm going to talk about together. We have The Sands of Araria duology by Hafsa Faisal. So we have We Hunt the Flame and We Free the Stars. This is a book about Zafira, who is a hunter, who is the only person in her town who can go into the creepy ass forest and come out of it alive. Everyone else who goes in there, the forest kills. So she is going in and killing animals and feeding her town. And she is sent to this magical fucked up island where all of the magical fucked up prisoners are kept to retrieve an item that will restore magic to the rest of the country because the country is slowly dying. Unbeknownst to her, a assassin is sent after her, and you know, unbeknownst to them, there is a romance on the way. Beautiful fan family. The writing is stunning, beautiful, lyrical. Hafsa Faisal owns my soul. I love her. I cannot wait for A Tempest of Tea. Please read this duology. Also, this lighting is just, it might be worse than the first time I tried to film this video, but we're just doing our best. Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, which is the first classic on this list. I did not think I was going to like this. This is about Jane, who becomes a governess for Mr. Rochester and his French ward, and they fall in love until Jane finds out that he's keeping his mad wife in his attic. The writing was excellent. Jane's character development was great. Mr. Rochester was like terrible and their relationship was toxic, but I was invested. I was rooting for them. What about it? I have another classic on this list. I don't own it yet. I want a pretty version and I have not found one that I'm in love with yet. But it is Dracula by Bram Stoker, which was not at all what I thought it was going to be. It's not really following Dracula that much. Apologies for the slight shift in angle. The lighting's really pissing me off. So Dracula by Bram Stoker is also an epistolary novel told in like letters and sort of case files about the people who team up to defeat Dracula. Dracula is not actually in it that much, surprisingly, and it was really well written. I know Bram Stoker didn't really care about it, but I thought it was really good and I had a really good time with it. And I can see myself reading it sort of every October-y Halloween time to get me in the spooky season spirit. The audiobook was also very good. I will link the one I listened to below. Related to Dracula, I also read A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. Epistolary from the wives of Dracula to him, chronicling their life together and the reasons that everything went down with them the way it did, and it's so beautifully written and it's such a cool character study and I was so invested, and I am sad that I don't like the new cover that the publishers have created because it was published independently and has been taken up by a big publisher and I think it's really ugly. And my friend currently has my indie copy, which is why I'm not holding it up for you right now, but it was so good. I enjoyed it so much. I'm so glad that I read Dracula and A Dowry of Blood this year. And the final book I don't physically have, I'll talk about it now whilst I remember, is In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Mercado, which is a non-fiction sort of autobiography but told through metaphors about a house, about her life and her struggles with an abusive relationship, because people don't really talk about abusive sapphic relationships and it wasn't something she was prepared to deal with or then come to terms with after it happened, and it was just a really insightful, thought-provoking audiobook that the author themselves narrated, and I really enjoyed it. I really appreciated it and would recommend to others. Okay, now a slight shift in tone. We have Written in the Stars and Hang the Moon by Alexandra Belfer. These are two romance books in the series. The first one is a sapphic fake dating at Christmas time book, and the second is I think, are they both bisexual? Annie's definitely bisexual. Summertime recreating rom-com moments so that one of them believes in love again kind of book, and I love these books so much. So the first one follows Darcy and Elle, and the second one follows Brendan, Darcy's brother, and Annie, Darcy's best friend. I love the little siblings, I love their significant others, I love everything about these books. Truly, really great, and I have great love of these floppy paperback editions. But yeah, highly recommend if you want some top tier tropey romances. Alexandra Belfleur is my bitch. Next, guys, we have Legendborn by Tracy Dion, which is a book about Brie, who has recently lost her mother and is going through the sort of stages of grief and is struggling with that, and then she gets accepted to a sort of like a university admission thing, but for high schoolers, so that they're sort of ready when it happens. And whilst there, discovers a society of people descended from King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, and discovers that magic is real and maybe it has something to do with her mother's death. And the writing in this is excellent. The way in which grief is dealt with was stunning to read about. The way that intergenerational trauma and racism in academic communities, just communities in general, but specifically in academia and in very white centric spaces, was handled with care, and it was just an excellent book, and I'm really glad that I read it, and I cannot wait for the sequel, which is coming out later this year. Okay, slightly different vibe now. We have A Little Life by Hany Yanagihara. This is, I'm sure you know what this is, everyone has talked about this, everyone and their mother has posted a reading vlog of them crying over this. I filmed one, I didn't edit or post it, but if I still have the clips, you can witness me cry. This is a book about four friends who meet in university and then follows them throughout their lives, and it is so well written. The craft behind this book is just very impressive. The purpose of the book, looking at author interviews, was to follow a character who never improved. Their life never, the circumstances, the people surrounding them, the beliefs that others had in them never changed their fundamental understanding of themselves. So he starts the book one way and ends the book the same way, and never learns to trust in people's affection for him, and it was devastating. There is a letter at the end of this book, and every so often I just think about it and it ruins my day. It still hurts me. And I read this like last October. No, it was last like July, August. Like, it's been a long time since I read it, and it hurts me. So I'm terrified for Hany Yanagihara's next book, To Paradise. I don't have any interest in The People in the Trees. That one, not so much my cup of tea, but yeah, this was truly an experience. And I know there's a lot of critique of this book about how it deals with trauma and is trauma porn, or is not understanding of people's circumstances and experiences, but I think each person has to make that judgment for themselves about whether or not they want to read this. Also, I am not someone who is easily triggered by anything. If you have triggers, please look them up before going into this book, because if something bad could happen, it does. So I'm not recommending this book to anybody. I'm not. I don't think you should read this book, but I think that this is one of the best books I read last year. And last, but certainly not least, we have Middle Game by Mcguire, which is a book that almost defies description in the same way that Gideon the Ninth is difficult to describe. But this is a book about two twins, Roger and Dodger, who do not know they are twins for the longest time, because they were separated after they were created alchemically to conduct an experiment to see if alchemists could reach the impossible road. Now, if you think, Megan, I don't know what that means, I don't want to read that. No, I don't know what that means either. However, this book is about Roger and Dodger finding each other and loving each other and helping each other and saving each other, and it's so well written. Mcguire has beautifully crafted the story, and there are like sort of time travel elements and cool sci-fi things going on that you just sort of have to roll with, and everything sort of gets explained at the end, and it's just so good. I think what I'm going to do is read you the synopsis, because I don't think I explained that well at all, and I don't want to say too much of what I think the story is about, because I could ruin things that aren't supposed to be ruined. So, meet Roger, skilled with words. Languages come easy to him. He instinctively understands how the world works through the power of story. Meet Dodger, his twin. Numbers are her world, her obsession, her everything. All she understands, she does so through the power of math. Roger and Dodger aren't exactly human, though they don't realise it. They aren't exactly gods either. Not entirely. Not yet. Meet Reed, skilled in the alchemical arts like his progenitor before him. Reed created Dodger and her brother. He's not their father, not quite, but he has a plan to raise the twins to the highest power, to ascend with them and claim their authority as his own. Godhood is attainable. Pray it isn't attained. It's so very good. And that is all of the books I had to talk about today. I could have talked about all of them for about 20 more minutes. Be very thankful that I did not. So that's all the books I had to talk about today. It is a pretty hefty stack. I had a really good reading year and I didn't record any of it. Tragic. Leave a comment down below if you don't have a YouTube channel yourself, because if you have, I have undoubtedly already seen your 2021 favourites because it's April. But if you haven't, please let me know if you agree with any of my picks, if you're interested in picking any of them up. And if you do, please get in touch with me and my socials, which will be linked down below. I love to scream about things I enjoy. And I will catch you in the next video, which will hopefully be soon. Bye.